Hey guys, today I'm going to bring you my balanced Druid guide for the 8.1 patch of the new Battle of Dazar'alor raid that's coming out in about a month. And today I'm going to go ahead and start you guys out with one of the most important things, which would be talents. And you know, as any class, you're going to have varied talents between single target and AoE. But currently, for me, I am in a semi-AoE, I guess you could say, because I'm running Warrior of Elune. But to start out with our single target talents, Force of Nature is going to be your go-to. A lot of druids will say that, you know, you can run Warrior of Elune, and that is true because really the damage difference it's honestly not that big of a difference. Like, they both have cooldowns that are going to matter. But I personally like to get the Astral Power from Force of Nature in my burst, plus the Trance do good damage. So that's my go-to on single target. On our level 30 tier, it's really situational. Like for me in, you know, Mythic Mithrax and Gahun and stuff, I have to run like Wild Charge. That way I can, you know, leap to serpent statues and get out of beams and stuff. You know, there's other bosses such as like Fetid where I'll actually run Renewal because sometimes those dots tick super hard. So that's what I would consider kind of fight dependent. Our Restoration Affinity, that's kind of honestly a go-to. Like it provides such a huge bonus to the healing. Like it over time throughout a whole fight, it will really do a lot of healing, and you have an extra heal with the Swiftmen. But you know, there's nothing wrong with going like Feral Affinity or Guardian Affinity if you need it. Our 60 talent is situational also. Bosses such as like Zekvaz and anything that's going to have a lot of ads that you're going to have to move a lot, such as like Gahun, for say. There is a ton of ads on Gahun that are going to be chasing you. So Typhoon's a go-to on that. Mass Entanglement is a good one. I don't think I've ever had to use Mighty Bash inside of Uldir. And it's just not something that I've had to do. I'm sure there is a situation where you could use it though. For our 75 tier, this is one of our most important tiers here. So I run Incarn, where a lot of Boomkins will run Starlord. But I run Incarn because one of our Azerite traits is going to be Streaking Stars. Running Streaking Stars with our other big traits such as Archive is absolutely insane. Like, I run 2 stacks of Streaking Stars, so while Celestial Alignment is active, my damaging spell is called Streaking Star, and it does an insane amount of damage within your 30-second burst if you constantly like use different abilities and not the same one. That is a huge major factor in it, and one of the most important things is that you do that if you're running that talent or that trait, you could say. If you're not running Streaking Stars, Starlord is a very good go-to and probably would come out on top if you're not running Streaking Stars. Our 90 talent, as of 8.1, Stellar Flare is evidently going to pull a lot more damage than running Twin Moons. I'd say it's not a huge difference, but Twin Moons got nerfed, so now it's kind of more of a AoE fight. That way you can get more Moonfires off in a short amount of time and get back to casting your Lunar Strike empowerments and your Solar Wraths. For Stellar Drift, I never used Stellar Drift, to be honest. For our 100 talent, Shooting Stars is your go-to for single target. Fury of Elune is always going to be AoE. I mean, Starlord's good if you're like, you got one ad coming up. Say for like Vectus, you got your big ad that pops up. It's not going to be alive a lot. You know, you're not going to get much of a huge bonus from Fury of Elune on that, but bosses like Zekvaz, where you have all the warriors and stuff, that is super good cleave for Fury of Elune. And I have never, ever ran New Moon or seen anybody else run New Moon. But we're going to bounce over here to the new raid that's coming out right quick. So on our first 3 bosses, our gear is like stacked, like exponentially. So in our first row, we've got Streaking Stars, which is good. Now this is going to be an insane trait. I mean, it's going to be literally broke because you're going to have Arcanic Pulsar. If you don't have it already, I haven't gotten to use it, but I'm like dying to. But every 9 star surges, you're gonna gain Celestial Alignment or Incarnation for 6 seconds. Like, you're gonna be able to do so much damage within that 6 seconds, and it's gonna happen so many times within a single fight. I mean, it's just gonna be crazy. And there's the first 3 pieces of gear is honestly like ridiculous. I mean, they've got Gut Rippers, which is a really good talent or trait. I keep saying talent. If you want to run Gut Ripper, there is nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a solid trait. Now, there is some better ones out there, but so we're going to go into stat weights right quick. So obviously, you're a caster. Every caster except maybe one, honestly. Now, probably not, but intellect is your go-to. Now, if it's a difference on a piece of gear, you gain like 10 intellect or 15 intellect. It's probably better just honestly go for stats if it's a bigger upgrade. But your stat priority besides intellect is going to be haste over crit, which is equal to verse, which is equal to mastery. Now in 8.1 we have gotten a mastery buff, which actually includes star surge damage, and you're going to have to do some simming, and you're going to have to get your stat weights back up, because used to it was kind of a dead stat. It wasn't really that good. I mean, you could use it, but I mean, if you have a lot of mastery or you don't have a lot of mastery, you know, it's either one is going to be okay. Like me personally, I don't have a lot of mastery, because whenever I pull up my personal stat weights, you know, it shows me that I need mastery over everything, even though I have like 26%, and I still can pull like a very solid amount of DPS. So I mean, it's not that big of a difference, but if you can get it and, you know, do what your stat weights want you to do, you can do some very solid damage as a Boomkin in this raid tier, and hopefully it stays that way and it doesn't get pooped on like Marksman Hunter did or something like that. So for those of you who do not know or have the Druid Discord, I will put it in the link like down below in my description, but they have the Dream Grove website. So this is where you can find all of your information that you would possibly need for a druid, such as like your talent guides and stuff. I mean, you can pull up any boss you can think of. You can find the suggested mythic talents, which I sometimes don't run for my personal preference because of my play style, but there's a ton of help if you are just now getting into Boomkin or still have a little bit to learn about it or questions. Now, real quick, as we were speaking about our gear, we are going to talk about the gems. So, even though your mastery or crit or versatility may need to come up on your, stat priority, you're 99% of the time going to want to run a straight haste build on gems. I've got 5 gems and all of them are haste. Now, you want at least one of those to be the Kraken's Eye that will give you 40 intellect. That is a go-to. Intellect is amazing, so that's what you definitely want to have, and you want both of them if you have more than 1 gem to spare. So, run 1 intellect and the rest haste. That is a very good decision to make. If you have any questions about trinkets, it's kind of debatable right now. Anything with a super high item level over what you've got is going to be good. When it comes down to like a 5 item level difference, that's where your sims are going to be coming into play. Obviously, you're going to want to sim your DPS using different like trinkets and different pieces of gear and stuff like that. But you can go to Blood Mallet. It's kind of hit on a little bit, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people talk bad about it, and I'm not saying you can follow this 100%, because you have to do what is best for you based on what you have. So looking at this chart, it shows my trinket is like it's decently good. Wherever it is here, it's somewhere. Yeah, so the Ignition Mage's fuse, I mean, it's not up there too high, and the Blood Shaper, that's what I run. Obviously, it's set to 340 right now, but even at 400, when I've looked, it's not, a huge difference. But, I mean, you're only missing out on like 100 DPS from a trinket that's in the middle of the list to the top. I mean, it's going to become up to your simming. That is your main, that's your best friend when it comes to that. Now, for Azerite traits, other than your main ones, you can look at, the Dreamgrove website. Archive is most definitely a must-have as a Boomkin. I gain like 10% haste at 10 stacks of Archive from walking into a raid, and that makes my DPS go up at least 2,000 as what it would in a Mythic Plus. You can burst 30k in a raid, and level off at the end of a boss at 17k, and you can hit a high burst in a Mythic Plus, and you might notice you're running like 15k, 14k, and you're like, what's going on? It's because of that Archive trait if you have it. Now, a big trait that you want to look out for that's a secondary trait is Dagger in the Bag. That is your best secondary trait that I know of. That thing is broke. Not really, but it's still good. So your main traits that I would say to look for would be Archive, Streaking Stars, and Arcanic Pulsar. Now, you can get more than one Arcanic Pulsar, but it's not going to go like, it's not going to give you a super huge DPS buff. Like having one of those with 2 Streaking Stars or 1 Streaking Stars and an Archive, which would be the go-to as one of each. Having 2 Arcanic Pulsars isn't a huge increase. I mean, it's really not, because, I mean, it's very complicated. You don't get an increased time on your incarnation when you have more than one streak of it, or one trait. I guess you say. I don't know. I keep wanting to say talent. If you have more than one, you're not going to get 12 seconds out of it. You're still going to get 6. But there's some things like Power of the Moon. That is a super good Mythic Plus talent. You can run that just fine and still do good numbers. It's better on, when there's tons of ads spread out. It's the most realistic choice for multi-target. Lively Spirit is something that is very debatable. And this is where the personal gameplay comes into. I hate Lively Spirit. Even though it is supposed to be one of the best that you can grab, it's not so much as the damage that you have to worry about here. It is putting the stress on your healers. You have to burn your Innervate and rely on somebody else to make up your DPS for you. And that's just not something that, I can put my trust in on every single pull. Every single pull I have to kill this ad. I'm going to use this Innervate. And then we get to the end of the fight, and we need an Innervate, and it's on cooldown because I wanted more damage to support myself and make myself look better. That doesn't matter. It completely comes up to, just getting the boss down, and your DPS will not matter, because if you're whopping 100 times and you're running 30k because you can't use an Innervate in the last phase, it's better to run like 20k. It's just common sense when it comes to that. But guys, if there's anything that you guys could possibly think of or have questions about, I'm game to answer. My god isn't the perfect god. This is just kind of, I guess you could say, my personal preference on playing a Boomkin. And, I've been pretty successful throughout the raid progression. We're on Mythic Progression right now. And, just about every boss that I've gotten to play Boomkin on, it's been pretty solid.